in this section, I'm going to talk about the market. Right now, we are on the 6th of February. And it was last week that the Bank of England met and they decided, yet again, to keep interest rates at 5.25%. Now, it's been 6 months at that level, so we're absolutely in this area of stability. But what I'm sort of seeing to change is, as I've said on my second bullet point there, the mood music, the tone that's coming out of the Bank of England is only subtly, but I'm just picking it up. It's starting to change. Up to now, the conversation around the Bank of England and the commentary that's coming out is, well, should rates rise a little bit further? And now that message is disappearing and is slowly being replaced by, what might the conditions be like before we can start to reduce rates? So it's still only subtle. Now, there will be commentators out there. There will be pundits who are piling the pressure on the Bank of England to bring interest rates down. They're clamoring for it to happen for all sorts of reasons. But my view is, as it was when I did a prediction last month, that we ain't going to see rate reductions anytime soon. Let me explain why really briefly without turning this into an economics lesson. And I ain't no economist. So, look, if for no other reason that if you actually look at the actual voting pattern, because this is how it works, there are 9 people on the committee at the Bank of England that vote once a month as to what's going to happen to interest rates. And even now, when it's been stable for 6 months, 2 of those 9 actually voted for an increase in the Bank of England rate. Actually voted for an increase. So that tells you that we are some way off, I think, in terms of actually seeing rate reductions. But here's the second thing. Because the prime piece of data, the indicator that you and I should be looking at as a view as to whether the Bank of England or when the Bank of England might reduce rates is how inflation is dropping. And as we know, and I make a comment on it almost every month, that inflation has dropped from last summer. It was probably in excess of 10%, and it's dropped right down. It's now sat at 4%. And that's part of the reason we're getting this clamour for the Bank of England to start to reduce rates, because the commentators are saying, look, job done, we're almost there. And by almost there, the target is 2%, as a reminder. That's the Bank of England's goal. However, even though we're at 4% now, what is going to happen over the next few months? So make a mental note, if not a written note of this. My view is inflation's going to actually increase over the next quarter. Now, that's not a surprise. That's not my left field prediction. This is also the view of the Bank of England. It's in their expectations. It's in their forecast. There's some, again, we're not getting into the detail, but there's some changes going on with energy prices that will mean that as a short-term blip, inflation's actually going to go up. So when you see the Daily Mail headline or the Sky News headline or the BBC headline saying, oh my God, inflation's going upwards, it's the end of the world, we know not to panic. It's part of the great scheme of things. It is only a blip. And by the end of the year, inflation will be back below the 4% that it's at right now. That is the view. So there's a little bit of a choppy waters, bumpy road ahead, which is why I've been saying last month and will continue to say that we will not see interest rate drops, I don't think, until the end of the year. Now, how does that all translate to mortgages? Well, again, for the in-depth view of mortgages, what I said back in January, if you've got time or you can remember what we talked about then, still holds true. As a real brief recap, there's 2 camps. We've got the banks and the building societies in one camp, and in camp 2, we've got the non-bank lenders, your Kent Reliance, your Kensingtons, your Precise Mortgages, your Aldermores, those types of lenders. In the first camp, the banks and building societies absolutely came out of the traps in January, almost like a fire sale. Mortgage rates slashed massively, and we were seeing 1% reductions on interest rates for buy-to-let mortgages. And essentially, my view was that these lenders were sacrificing profit for market share. So there was massive competition for your business, and that was great for us as landlords if we were a smaller landlord that can still go to the high street banks for our mortgages. Those now have that, I guess those reductions have done. So the rates you're seeing with the banks and building societies, probably starting with a 3% upwards, are the rates you're going to be getting. They can't keep slashing rates even further. So I think pretty much there'll be some tweaking and moving around a little bit. But essentially the rates you're seeing from the banks and building societies are what you're going to get in the short term now. So that's one side. On camp 2 with the non-bank lenders, I did say in January that they would not follow suit. They would not be cutting their rates. They would not be chasing volume business. And that's pretty much what we're seeing as we enter February. That category of lender are still holding their rates at what they were at the start of the year. So if you're a larger portfolio landlord, certainly in excess of 10 properties, if you've got more complex needs, if you've got limited company buy-to-lets, holiday lets, HMOs, that type of investment property, then you're not knocking on the doors of the banks anyway. You're on with the non-bank lenders, and your rates are pretty much stable. And again, so when your broker's talking to you about the rates on offer, that's pretty much what you're going to get. Don't be sat on your hands or sat on the fence waiting for rates to drop like they have done with the banks and building sites. That is not going to happen. Said it last month, saying it again. Nothing's changed. So make your decision. And that's my takeaway message for you guys today. If you're active in the landlord, or you're waiting to see if you're going to get any more savings, that's unlikely to happen for either camp. So make your decisions now. There is some certainty. That's my view. And so go ahead and get it. If you want to talk about your situation in any more detail, then at the end of this piece, in the commentary underneath, there'll be a link to our online diary. Just have a click on it, have a chat to the team to get the rates that are right for you, because clearly I can only talk generically today.